Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are revisiting my Ireland scrapbooks again, but we're doing something special, and I hope this will be helpful to you. Last year, one of the secret boxes that we got had some really great materials that were kind of retro, but retro in a way that wasn't funky, if that makes sense. Oftentimes when I hear that word retro, I think, oh, the 70s or the 60s or something with a very strong, vibrant vibe to it. These papers and embellishments and this part of this collection we're going to use for this next section in my Ireland book are from kind of a bygone era, for lack of a better term. And because this next section of layouts that I need to do for my Ireland album are taking place in a home we visited in Killarney National Park that has been fully restored and is straight out of the late 1800s, early 1900s. I just felt like this was perfect. And there's a project book. Actually, it's a project guidebook. So it's a use the pack situation, and it's perfect for just the right number of layouts that I need to complete all the photos that we did in of this home. So I'm going to walk you through this guidebook and all of the cutting and all of the sorting, how I power lay out everything, how I am getting all this together. And I hope that this is helpful for you. This is going to be another mini series, kind of like the recent one that we did on using mat cards for borders. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's something that's helpful for you. So let's get started. This video today is going to walk you through all of the cutting of all of the pieces for this series of layouts. I believe there are six layouts in this collection, so it's quite a lot of layouts we're going to get out of this paper pack and embellishments. And actually, it's two paper packs. It's a tone on tone and a designer paper pack. So if you have those in another collection, or you have this collection, I am failing to remember what it's called, but it'll be in the description of the video, or it might even be in the title of these videos, because I haven't done that yet. That's next. So let's check out my workspace and we'll get started with all of the cutting that we get to do today. All right, so this is my workspace for today. So we reach a point in our trip within the national park there in Ireland that we came upon what they call the Muckross House. So if you have never been there, to give you an idea, this is I got there just a little bit in this last layout that we did, so you can see it in the background as we were approaching. And these are the grounds. Now, this is a map for the grounds of the Muckross House and Gardens. And the next several layouts are all a part of that experience, this experience in the house and gardens. And I was trying to come up with some papers that I might be able to use with this that would be something different and a little bit unique as compared to the papers we're using in the rest of these albums. And I remembered this paper collection that came in the secret box number 4 from last year, called Grand Times. If you got secret box number 4, oh my goodness, this collection is so fun. and it is so appropriate for the photos we're going to be doing next. There are 6 layouts, which is a lot, and I really don't want to devote 6 videos to all of this, but I thought, well, what we could do is talk about how this works. So Creative Memories creates a collection. When they create a collection, then they create a project booklet. And I'm going to go into this a little more in a 101.5 soon. But in the project booklet, we are given, much like for National Scrapbook Day or Croptoberfest, we're given a cutting guide for the specific papers that they used in the samples that they've given us. And then we're given photos of the samples of the layouts, with some instructions if you need them, which is awesome. And we're given a designer paper pack in this instance and a tone-on-tone paper pack, which complement each other. You can see how the colors complement, the textures complement, which is wonderful. We're given, in this case, an embellishment pack. This has embellishments and frames, which are kind of fun. We're given our sticker pack, which in this case has a lot of kind of retro looking types of memorabilia and pictures. Now, this doesn't go back as far as Muckross House does. Muckross House was built in the late 1800s, so it's farther back than this really would lead you to believe, but this is approaching that time. So I just thought it would be a fun collection to use. The colors work really well because they're muted and they kind of go with what we're doing. We've got another embellishment pack that's got a lot of really cool stuff in it, and then we've got these, which are also embellishments, and these are embroidered. And so so these are acid-free and lignin-free, so these are fine for you to use even on top of your photos, which is lovely. The last time that we had embroidered stickers like this, I think we were warned not to use them on top of or touching photos because of the adhesive, but that says acid and lignin free on the back, so I trust it. Okay, so what I thought we would do today is go ahead and work our way through the cutting guide for this, and then I'll show you kind of my process of what I do when I'm going to do all the projects in a project booklet like this or something for NSD. I'll show you all of the steps of what I do. Okay, and then we'll have another video that will go through kind of assembly of these things. All right, so first of all, we're going to pull out all the paper. We've got 2 full paper packs here, and I don't believe we're using all of them because we are going to cut 16 pieces, and if we were to cut all 24, then we would need all 24, but we have 16 cutting guides, so that's some of these pages we're not going to use. But I'm going to pull them all out anyway because I think it'll just be easier. Alright, so and we're told at the beginning, if you read the instructions at the end of the cutting guide right here, we're told that many of the pages we're going to be making with this project booklet are going to be welded together. So they suggest that we use these cover pages and cut these to use these as our welding pieces, which is fine. These papers are photo safe, so that's not a problem, and you're not gonna, that welding piece is not gonna touch your photos anyway, so it's fine. But it is a good idea before you start a project like this to read through all of the instructions that are provided so that you are aware. All right, so let's see. We're gonna cut 2 of the blue argyle papers, which are right here. So those are going to be our first ones, and I'm just going to put these in orders just to make it a little bit quicker and easier for me. Okay, let's see. The next papers are these gray pieces right here. Then we've got a blue and we've got the plaid. So I'm just going to put those like so. Okay. Then we've got the green dotted Swiss, which looks like it's this one. Oh, and you know what? I may have used that for another project. I don't have another one of those. So let's come back to that. I'm going to put a little mark there. I need number 7. So we'll have to see about whether we need to replace that with cardstock or if we need to, if maybe there's a tone-on-tone paper we can use. We'll see. Okay. Green stripes. Green stripes and a chevron pattern, which is this one. Okay, those are these two here, but this one is beige stripes, which is that one right there. Okay, so put that facing that way. And then we're going to go down here to tone-on-tone papers. And the tone-on-tone papers we're going to use are the light beige, which is this one. Both of these are the light beige. Then we're going to use the beige wood, which is this paper right here. And we're going to use the dark brown wood, which is this paper right here. And we're going to use the light green and the green wood paper. Okay, so that's going to go there. All right, so we need to go back and we need to decide what we can use for this paper number 7 that is supposed to be green, light green, and it doesn't look like I have any more light green left and unused. So I think what we could do is just pull a piece of cardstock. I'm going to try to make a color that matches or is close to that. But I do have this paper, which actually I think could work. So this is not CM paper. This is made by a company called SEI. They are located in Logan, where I used to live. And I think I'm going to just substitute that because it's got dots, like this has dots. It's a little bit different, but it's similar. So I think we will go with that. See if I can find the spot where it needed to go. Right there. Okay. Now let's go ahead and cut these out. There we go. There's number one. Okay, one. And then I noticed that I put the wrong side up on that one. So that's going to go there. All right. So these are the papers we need to cut. This is how we need to cut them. I'm going to grab my trimmer and we're going to get to cutting. Okay, so they've got the argyles going this way, and we're going to cut this at 6 inches. So we're cutting it directly in half with the wider points out this way. Then we're going to take 3 inches off of this piece. And we're going to cut this one into mats. So it's going to become 3 4x6 mats. Okay, and this next piece is going to be oriented the same way with the wider part of the diamond from left to right. We're going to cut a 4-inch piece of this. And if this is too fast and you're trying to follow me, just pause the video. I don't mind if you pause me. Okay, we're going to cut this into 4 by 4 squares. So 3 4x4 squares. Okay. Then we're going to take this part, and this has us cutting 4 2-inch strips and then cutting all of those strips into 9-inch pieces. But rather than do that, I want to preserve this piece down here. So I'm going to turn this and cut it into a 9-inch long piece, and then I will cut that 9-inch long piece into 4 2-inch strips. Does that make sense? Because then I can save this piece for another day. Okay, so we're going to cut 4 2-inch strips from this. How many of you enjoy doing National Scrapbook Day? National Scrapbook Day is coming up, and if you are an advisor, I bet you're planning a National Scrapbook Day for yourself and for your customers and friends to come over and join you for National Scrapbook Day. If you're not an advisor, then you might not be doing your own, but hopefully you are going and attending someone else's National Scrapbook Day event, or even just celebrating on your own at home. But it's super fun. We really have a good time at National Scrapbook Day. Alright, now before you cut this piece, make sure it's oriented correctly. We've got our dotted stripes going from left to right, so horizontally, and we're cutting 2 5x12 pieces. I was lining that up to cut it at 6 inches, but we are not doing that. These should be 5x12, cutting across the lines. So again, at 5 inches. The theme for National Scrapbook Day this year is super cute, and my sister got super excited because she is a gardener, and with all of the plants that are involved in the theme for this time around, she was very excited. All right, Now, we need a piece that is 9 inches, so I'm going to cut this at 9 inches. Again, this is a new piece of paper, so make sure it's oriented properly. Your dotted lines should be going horizontally from left to right, not vertically, straight up and down. We're cutting this into a 9-inch piece, and then we are going to turn this and we're going to cut 3 inches off of it. So essentially we're making a 9 by 3 inch piece and a 9-inch square. Alright, and I flipped these over because our instructions say that we're using the reverse side, so we're going to be using this side in the layout. So I'm just trying to keep them in order. And actually there's a couple of these blue ones that should have been reversed. That's okay, we'll get there. Alright, this is an extra piece, so it's going to go off to the side with our others. Okay, now we're going to take this one. This one has kind of a flower on it, a flower with a leaf. So make sure your flowers are vertical as you cut these. We're going to be, oh, I beg your pardon. This piece I just put over here saying it was extra, this is not extra, we're going to punch that. So just set it to the side and we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, we're going to be punching a piece of this as well, but we're going to cut a bunch of it first. So let's see, we're going to cut 3 1-inch pieces. So I'm going to balance my paper on this side of my cutting line so that it has more of a shoulder to keep it straight. And I'm going to use the measurements on the right hand side of my cutting line to cut 3 1 by 12 inch pieces. So here's 1, 2, and cut 1 more. And flip that over because you'll notice it says right there reverse. Okay, now we're going to cut this 4-inch piece that we're going to eventually cut in half. So we'll cut it at 4 inches. I have to use the measurements on this side because this doesn't go far enough. Then we're going to turn it, we're going to cut it at 6 to make 2 mats. And those are both going to be flipped over. Alright, then we're going to cut, let's see, I need to punch 2 borders from this, and then there are some additional pieces to cut. So I think I'm going to set it over here and we will punch those borders before we cut the rest because it's not going to work out measurement wise to do it any other way. Alright, so we're going to take our plaid. This is going to be cut directly down the middle, so it's 6 inches. Alright, so that's both of those. Now we've cut the first 6 pages. Let's rotate our cutting guide to the next pages. Now this is my page I had to substitute because I had gotten crazy and used my paper. Woo! When do we do that? Why do we do that to ourselves? Well, because it's beautiful paper and we want to use it. Alright, so I'm just trimming off the edge of this so that I can have a clean sheet. Okay, so we're going to cut this first at 4 inches. And we're going to cut this at 6. And we're going to cut it at 5. So you can save this piece or not save this piece. It's completely up to you. Then we're going to cut one more piece at 4 inches. That's extra. And we're going to turn this and cut it into a square. So 4 inches again. All right. This is extra. Okay, then we're going to take our beige stripe, put it into your trimmer horizontally. We're going to cut the first piece at 3 inches, so 3 by 12. Then we're going to cut one at 2.5 inches. Then we're going to cut another one at 2.5 inches. So 1 at 3 inches, 2 at 2.5 inches. Then the remainder should be 4 inches. Mine is pretty close, but a little bit crooked. How did that happen? Wow. Okay then, let's make this edge straight. Maybe it's because I got excited and was going too fast. I'm just going to tidy this edge so that it's straighter. All right, and that one's flipping over. That's cute. Okay, now we're going to take this sort of chevron-ish pattern. We're going to cut 2 pieces that are 4 by 12. So there's one. Here's the second one. So 2 that are 4 by 12. Then we're going to turn this and cut one at 5 inches with the remaining 4. So this is 4 by 5 inches. All right, and then we're going to cut a strip that is 1 3/4. And another strip that is 1 3/4. Just line it right up on that grid line. We have about a 1/2 inch piece left over. That's extra. Then you're going to take these 2 and stack them, and we're going to cut 4 1 3/4 inch squares. All right. Okay, then we're going to use this striped paper. The striped paper is going to get cut in half through the stripes, so keep the stripes horizontal. We're going to line it up here, and we're going to cut down the midline, so we have 6 inches on each side. That's going to go over there. Now we're starting into the tone-on-tone paper. This is the light beige with the lightest wood pattern on the back. The wood pattern on the back is not important, but if you think you might want to flip it over, depending on the way that the design is, you might want to cut with the grain. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut with the grain because I don't know exactly what the design looks like. I don't really remember. So just in case, I could flip that over if I wanted to. Alright, and this one, we're going to cut this at 6 inches also. This is also one of the light beige pieces. This piece is extra. And we're going to trim the remaining half into 3 4 by 6 mats. All right, now we are done with our second 6. We only have 4 more pieces to cut. This is a lot of cutting, but you're doing 6 pages if you're following along, so that is a lot. You just have to kind of roll with it. All right, so we're going to line this up at 5.5, which is the very edge of my trimmer right here. We're going to cut across the grain. This is the medium beige wood pattern. We're going to turn this, and we're going to cut 3.5 by 5.5 inch pieces. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3. This piece is extra. Okay, then we're going to take what's left of our paper, that piece, and we're going to cut this at 4 inches. We're going to turn this, and we're going to cut this at 4 inches again for a square, and at 4 inches again for another square. Then we're going to cut at 1 3/4. Save that here. We're going to cut another at 1 3/4. This piece is extra. We're going to stack those 2, and we're going to cut 2 more times at 1 3/4. So there, and my papers are not lined up. They got caught on the mat when I tried to slide them. All right, and this is 1 3/4. Okay, so there's 4 1 3/4 inch squares. Then we're going to take the rest of this, we're going to cut it at 1 3/4. This piece is extra. We're going to turn this, and we're going to cut 6 more 1 3/4 squares. And this last bit is extra. We're getting there. 3 more pieces. All right, the dark wood we're going to cut along with the grain, so make sure your grain is going from you forward. Okay, we're going to be punching a little bit of this, but first we're going to cut a 4 inch piece. And we're flipping that over to the solid on the back. We're going to cut another 4 inch piece. This is getting cut in half to make 2 mats. And then we have 2 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to measure the 3/4 inch on the right side of my cutting line. There's 1. And here's 2. And then the remainder of this is going to get punched. So we're going to set that over here to the side with the other papers we're going to use to do that. I'll get to that in a second. Then we've got the green wood piece, which we're also going to cut with the grain going forward and backward rather than right to left. we're going to cut 2 pieces that are 4 inches. So 4. Then I'm going to stack 2 of them on top of each other, and we're going to cut these at 6 to make some mats. Okay, then the remainder of this is going to be punched, so I'm going to set that over there, and this final piece that is the light green we're going to cut in half. Again, it's got the wood grain on the back, so I'm going to cut with the wood grain just in case I find it more interesting to flip it over. That way the wood grain will look nice. So cutting it right in half at 6 inches. Alright, so that's all of the cutting with our trimmer. Now we are going to go back and we're going to punch. I need 2 of the green, 2 of the brown, I need 2 blue, 2 gray, and then I think we will be good. So there should be 4 different ones. Okay, let me grab my border maker system. That's what we're going to use to punch our border today. Alright, so the border that they recommend or that they use in the samples is the Diamond Link Chain Border Maker cartridge. This one is really nice. It came out last year. Or if you don't have that one, you could use this one. This is the Square Link Chain, and it also came out earlier last year. So you could use either one of those, I think, and they would look nice. If you aren't familiar with the border maker system that Creative Memories has, look at the video in the corner and it'll teach you how to use the border maker system. Alright, so I'm just gonna go through and punch 2 of each one of these, and if we need to, I'll show you a trick. I'm not sure we're going to need it, but we might. A couple of these pieces are a little bit smaller. When you are punching smaller bits, then there is a trick to making that happen. Alright, now for this piece and for the next piece that we're going to do, this brown one, we're going to need to get some pieces of our post-it notes. Our post-it notes are going to be our extenders. So we're going to take these post-it notes and attach them to the edge of the piece we want to punch, and you can do this with anything that doesn't quite make this magnet back here. It's not wide enough, and then that way the paper holder holds the post-it note, and the post-it note holds your paper where it needs to be, and you can punch something that is more narrow. Sort of like an extender. Not like an extender, it is an extender. One more, and then we get to sort all this out, which will be fun. Okay, so this one is even shorter than the last one. So what we might do, no mites about it, let's do this. So I'm going to attach my Post-it notes with my paper out of the machine, or out of the holder, because that way I can make sure that my Post-it is attached to my strip. There we go. All right. So we need to cut these last couple pieces. We are going to cut this at 5 3/4. 5 3/4. So we're going to turn this and we're going to cut it at 1 3/8. And we're going to need 2 pieces that are 1 3/8. So we should have 2 pieces that are 1 3/8, but by putting that in half, we should have 2 that are the same, but I didn't. I'm about 1/8 of an inch too wide, which just means that my other cuts were a little bit generous. So I'm just going to trim off a tiny bit so that these are closer to the right size. And then this last little bit here, we need 2 pieces that are 1 3/4 inch square. So I'm going to cut, I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are 1 3/4 inches. This one's going to be 1 3/4 as well. That leaves us with a square. Then we're going to stack these two, and we're going to trim them off at 1 3/4 to make them square. And then we're going to take these and make triangles with them. So we're going to cut from this corner to this corner, or from this corner to this corner, whichever you prefer. And you're only going to cut once, so just pick a corner to start with and end with the one opposite. And there are the triangles that we needed for that layout. Alright, so the next time that we get together, we're going to power sort all of the pieces that we just cut today, and I'm going to show you how to sort those out and add your photos and all the pieces that need to go along with each layout. And then we're going to come back an additional time and we're going to start assembling those layouts. So this is a mini series, like I mentioned before. It's going to take just a few videos to complete. So thanks so much for joining me today. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your day.